Welcome to Magic Beyond the Books. I'm Renee, and today I am talking about Garrick Ollivander, the Wand Maker. Warning, there are Harry Potter spoilers in this episode. Quick character summary. Garrick Ollivander is considered the best wand maker in the world. He sold wands to almost every wizard and witch we meet in the Harry Potter universe, and the name Ollivander appears in the books 118 times. Harry interacts with him in books 1, 4, and 7, but he only appears in movies 1 and 7 and 8. So Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, and Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1 and Part 2. Ollivander remembered every wand he has ever sold, and his wand is a hornbeam wood wand with a dragon heartstring core. So let's talk about wand lore a little bit. Specifically, Garrick Ollivander's wand is a hornbeam wood. That's a particularly fine-tuned and sentient wand that selects a wizard with a single pure passion for their life, or you might call it an obsession or a vision, which almost always will be realized, which makes a lot of sense for Ollivander. He has this passion for wand making that he learns in childhood and pursues throughout his entire professional career. Another thing about hornbeam wand woods is they tend to adapt more quickly than almost any other type of wand to their owner's style of magic. And it becomes so personalized so quickly that other people will find them really difficult to use even for simple spells. So this is going to be a wand that's so particular to its owner that it's almost impossible for anyone else to use. And it also absorbs their owner's code of honor and will refuse to even perform acts that would go against its owner's principles. And then Ollivander also has a dragon heartstring core. Those are the wands with the most power and ability to produce the most flamboyant spells. They tend to learn more quickly than other wand types and bond very strongly with their owner. They're the easiest to turn to the dark arts if the wand owner chooses that. And they can be somewhat temperamental. They're the most prone to accidents of all the cores. And some other people, I have a dragon heartstring core wand. Some other people that have that same wand are Victor Crumb, Lucius Malfoy, Bellatrix Lestrange, Peter Pettigrew, and Hermione Granger, in addition to Garrick Ollivander. But let's talk more about Ollivander and his timeline throughout the books. So he was born September 25th, sometime before 1909, and he was born a half-blood wizard. His father was Gervase Ollivander, and he comes from a long line of wand makers, so he inherited that shop on Diagon Alley. He attended Hogwarts. He was sorted into Ravenclaw House, and he, like I said, he was born into this wand-making family, learned the trade, and after Hogwarts took over the business. And he was the one who really disrupted the wand making business by introducing this idea of limiting the wand cores and pre-making the wands versus having witches and wizards come in bringing their own core. So before, people would bring in their own core for the wand just based on whatever they felt. And then the wand makers would make the wand with that core. And the core could be all sorts of things like kelpie hair. I think, Fleur's wand is one that uses Vila hair. So people would just find any magical substance, bring it to a wand maker and say, hey, make me a wand out of this core. And so Ollivander, specifically Garrick Ollivander, was the one that said, that's making these temperamental, not as good wands. So I'm only going to make wands out of the 3 cores, which are phoenix feather, dragon heartstring, and unicorn hair. Only those 3. And then I'm going to let the wand choose the wizard. And then the process to purchase a wand is very similar to, for everyone, what Harry experienced in the first book, where you're feeling out each wand and determining which wand is going to choose you as the witch or wizard. Here's a breakdown of the 3 magical beasts from which Ollivander uses, pieces of to create his wand cores. So to start, I'll say the Ministry of Magic has classifications for each of their, beasts, monsters, whatever you want to call them. And so number 5 is known wizard killer, impossible to train or domesticate. 4 is dangerous, requires specialist knowledge, skilled wizard may handle. 3, a competent wizard should cope. 2, harmless, may be domesticated. And then finally, 1 is boring. Dragons are a category 5 in the Ministry of Magic classification. So extremely dangerous, kills wizards, do not approach. From the Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them book, it says that dragons are probably the most famous of all magical beasts. Dragons are among the most difficult to hide. The female is generally larger and more aggressive than the male, though neither should be approached by any but highly skilled and trained wizards. All of the many different aspects of a dragon, including their hide, blood, heart, liver, and horn, have highly magical properties. So it's not just the heartstrings that get used in cores that are a magical aspect of the dragon, but apparently the heartstring specifically is something that Ollivander found to be a ingredient that makes a great wand. Dragon eggs are a class A non-tradable good, but I guess heartstrings are tradable. I don't know. And then as far as dragons go, we see a little bit from the Triwizard Tournament that there are different breeds of dragons. They do interbreed, so you don't exactly have like all pure bred for each type of dragon, but there are 10 breeds of dragon. And in alphabetical order, they're the Antipedian opali, the Chinese fireball, the common Welsh green, the Hebridean black, Hungarian horntail, Norwegian ridgeback, Peruvian viper tooth, Romanian longhorn, Swedish short snout, and finally the Ukrainian iron belly. So in the Triwizard Tournament, the 4 dragons that are used are a Chinese fireball and a common Welsh green, a Hebridean black, and a Hungarian horntail. And then Norwegian ridgeback is the type of dragon that Hagrid has for a short time. He gets that egg that he names Norbert, which ends up being renamed Norberta because it's a girl. That dragon was a Norwegian ridgeback. So I won't get into detail about all the different dragon types, but those different 10 breeds all have different characteristics and things about them, and obviously different features. Like in the Triwizard Tournament, they all had different coloring and everything like that. So that is dragon. So dragon heartstring is one of the wand cores, and that specifically is the wand core that Ollivander has in his wand. And I also have that in my wand. A phoenix is classified as a 4 by the Ministry of Magic. And it has that rating not because of it being aggressive, but because there's a very, very low number of wizards that have actually domesticated it. In the Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, it says, the phoenix is a magnificent swan-sized scarlet bird with a long golden tail, beak, and talons. It nests on mountain peaks and is found in Egypt, India, and China. They live a really long time and are able to regenerate. So we see that with Fawkes, that's Dumbledore's bird. They burst into flames, and then when their body turns to ashes, it like revives as a chick. So it just keeps going over and over and over again in a circle. And that was one of the riddles from the Ravenclaw common room that we hear was, what came first, the phoenix or the flame? And Luna's response to that, I think it was Luna with this one, she said, a circle doesn't have a beginning. So phoenixes are gentle and they have never been known to kill. Other than like regenerating, phoenixes have a lot of other like mystical powers. So they can disappear and reappear at will, which we see Fawkes doing with Dumbledore. And then they also have Phoenix Song, which is magical. And I think they have Phoenix Song, I think, in the second movie. But Phoenix Song comes up quite a few times throughout the Harry Potter series. In the second, I think, and it comes up again when in the fourth book, when they're doing the priori incantatum and Voldemort and Harry's wands are linked, Phoenix Song comes out, and then Phoenix Song plays after Dumbledore dies. This is the quote from the Fantastic Beasts. It's reputed to increase the courage of the pure of heart and to strike fear into the hearts of the impure. And then also another magical, as if they didn't have enough magical features about them, they also have the tears. So their tears can cure people. They have healing properties, which again, that comes up with Harry and Fawkes. Harry getting healed by Fawkes in the second book, and he also gets healed by Fawkes in the fourth book after the Triwizard Tournament. Phoenices are super magical, and it makes sense that that's the rarest of the wand types. And the last of the three wand cores that Ollivander uses is unicorn hair. Unicorns are classified as a 4, like Phoenix is. So dragon was 5, Phoenix and unicorn are both 4. Unicorns are what we know from all the legends. It's a horse with the horn. It's found throughout the forests of northern Europe, and it's pure white, with the horn. And when it's fully grown, I guess I should say, and then the foals, the babies, are actually golden, and then they turn silver before they actually become an adult. And the unicorn's horn, blood, and hair all have magical properties. Generally, unicorns avoid human contact, but they're more fond of witches than wizards. So when they learn about them in class, they have the boys kind of stand back and the girls can go closer. So the unicorns, since they are more fond of witches and wizards, that's another question I guess I have is, how is Ollivander approaching unicorns and getting these unicorn hairs? It seems like he's directly involved in the process of collection, because he was describing the unicorn that provided the hair for Cedric Diggory's wand as if he had seen it. So I don't know. It's interesting. How is he getting close? And he's probably working with some witch or unit of witches that are able to approach these unicorns and collect the hairs. So through this practice, Garrick Ollivander sold wands to so many people. In the summer of 1938, he sold Tom Riddle, aka Lord Voldemort, his wand. And then later, as I mentioned before, in the summer of 1991, he sold Harry Potter his wand. And after he sold Harry Potter the wand that shared the phoenix feather core, from the same phoenix as Tom Riddle's wand, he immediately wrote a letter to Albus Dumbledore giving him that update about Harry having this brother wand to Voldemort. So he definitely keeps in touch with Dumbledore, and he's not in the Order of the Phoenix, and he doesn't seem to be very involved in the Wizarding Wars, but he must be some level of friend or associate, someone who talks to Dumbledore. I mean, pretty much everyone talks to Albus Dumbledore. And then later November 13th, 1994, he was there for the weighing of the wands ceremony during the Triwizard Tournament. That section is in the book. It's not included in the movies. Like I mentioned before, he's not in movie 4. He's only in the first movie and the last 2 movies. But I believe they originally intended to include that scene in the movies, and then it just got cut. He comes in, and before the Triwizard Tournament even starts, once the champions are chosen, he checks that their wands are suitable and aren't going to be broken or have some sort of issue before they even start the tournament. So during that scene, this is where Harry learns a lot about some of the other wands, and learns that Victor Crumb's wand was made by a wand maker named Grigorovich, and about Fleur's wand, including the Vila hair. This is all revealed to him through Ollivander. And after he participates in the wand weighing ceremony, a couple years later, in July 1996, he sells a wand to Neville Longbottom. When Neville Longbottom broke his, he was using his father's wand, through book 5, and then in book 6 he gets a new wand, which is a big factor in why Neville has such a glow up and has stronger magic making, is he actually gets a wand that's custom to him that summer before his 6th year. And that was the day before Garrick Ollivander gets captured by the Death Eater. So that was one of the last wands he ever sold pre the Second Wizarding War. And then, the next day, July 1996, he's captured by the Death Eaters. Arthur Weasley said, "Shop's empty, no sign of a struggle. No one knows where he left, whether he left voluntarily or was kidnapped." Harry learns later that he's being held by Voldemort. So he is in captivity, held prisoner at Malfoy Manor for 2 years about. He was tortured for information and forced to make a new wand for Peter Pettigrew while he was there. And then this is where he gives information to Voldemort about the twin cores that's linking their two wands. He believes that the reason that their wands had trouble before with the whole priori incantatum in chapter 4, the reason that Voldemort's wand was struggling against Harry's wand, he believes that it was because of the shared core. And he tells Voldemort this. He says, just use another wand and you should be fine. And so then Voldemort goes and uses Lucius Malfoy's wand when he chases Harry in the beginning of book 7. But that wand breaks after Harry's wand goes after it. And this is what leaves Garrick Ollivander totally confused, and he doesn't have an answer for Voldemort. And part of the reason why Voldemort decides to then seek the Elder Wand. So Mr. Ollivander tells Voldemort that the last person that it was rumored had the Elder Wand was Gregorovitch. His full name is Myq Gregorovitch. And that's a competitor wand maker, like I mentioned before, that made Victor Crumb's wand. So on that information, Voldemort then goes after Gregorovitch and ends up killing him and gets the information that some young boy stole the wand. Voldemort later learns that that wand went to Grindelwald, which is Dumbledore's competitor, the darkest Dark Lord before Voldemort. And he ends up killing him as well. So through all of this, Ollivander gets multiple people killed. And at some point during the captivity, Luna Lovegood also joins him at Malfoy Manor, and they form this friendship while they're both being imprisoned. And then when Harry and Ron get captured and are being held down there, Dean also gets down there, and Griphook. So all of them, Harry works with Dobby to get them to escape and go to Shell Cottage. So Mr. Ollivander gets out of captivity at that point and is taken to Shell Cottage, aka Bonefleur's house. And while he's at Bonefleur's house, this is where he gets interrogated by Harry about the Elder Wand. Harry even reveals himself the things that he knows that Ollivander told Voldemort, which really surprises Ollivander. And I think Ollivander just really does not have an understanding of this whole relationship between Harry and Voldemort. I mean, he's an expert with wands, but I don't know that he's necessarily super skilled in the rest of factors of magic. And Harry and Voldemort are so linked that, I mean, how would almost anyone know about their relationship? But Ollivander says that he was being tortured, and Harry doesn't really blame him for giving up the information. But I feel like, in my opinion, I don't think Mr. Ollivander is very honorable. Let's compare him to someone like Scrimgeour, for example. Scrimgeour died without revealing Harry's location and didn't give away this, pertinent information about Harry to Voldemort and the Death Eaters. Whereas Ollivander was just there, naming names and giving information to Voldemort about Harry. So I feel like he's definitely a Ravenclaw, not a Hufflepuff or a Gryffindor in that regard, that he's not super loyal or super brave to a fault. I know I'm not trying to go hard on him because obviously he was imprisoned for 2 years, but I feel like he could have maybe worked a little bit harder to not reveal some, key information. But fortunately, he did not know anything about the Deathly Hallows. He only knew of the Elder Wand. So he didn't give any of that information to Voldemort and couldn't since he didn't know about it. And I mean, I'm not really sure that Voldemort would have sought out the other two Deathly Hallows anyway. He probably wouldn't. Well, I think Dumbledore said he wouldn't have had any interest in them. But it makes it so Harry obtains the other two and eventually the third and isn't, battling with Voldemort to get the other two. So back to Ollivander. He stayed at Shell Cottage for a little bit and then he went to the Weasleys have this auntie Muriel. He went to her house and recovered there and remained in hiding for the rest of the Wizarding War at her house. And at some point, he also created a new wand for Luna Lovegood and sent that to her. So even though she lost her wand when she was captured, she was able to get a new one custom made by Ollivander, which I thought was really sweet. And then after the Second Wizarding War is over, he returns to his shop and continues to sell wands again. So let's get into the etymology of Garrick Ollivander. So the surname Ollivander means he who owns the olive wand, which is of Mediterranean origin, and which is interesting because Ollivander, the Ollivander that we know, his is a hornbeam wand, not an olive tree wand, but still, maybe the original Ollivander of their family had an olive wand. And then Garrick is an old English name. It means one who governs with a spear or spear ruler or some version of that, of those words associating spear and like being ruler. So I guess spear ruler or he who rules with a spear, it kind of goes with like wands. So it's interesting. Like his name is very much associated with wands, both first name and last name. Theories about Ollivander. This is the part I really wanted to get to. So I did listen to the Harry Potter Theory podcast, and they have an episode called Ollivander's Darkest Secret, and you can listen to that. I'll share a link on our Instagram. They share some of the main theories that I was also able to find from other sources about Ollivander. The main things, there's a couple of things. So one, did Garrick Ollivander limit the cores to the 3 rare magical cores that he chooses as a money grab, basically? The cores, Phoenix Feather, Dragon Heartstring Core, and Unicorn Hair, are very, very rare magical substances that are also really expensive and hard to obtain. So this obviously makes that as a big factor of the wands in general, makes them expensive and hard to create because you have to source those objects. So he claims that it's because those 3 make the best wands, and he saw his father use other cores and struggle, and like the wands weren't as good of a quality. But it is interesting because most products and things that you'll find, there might be like low ends, basic, that maybe the wands don't work as well, but still they function. And that those could be a cheaper option for people that, didn't want to spend as much money on a wand. So, but then again, I mean, there's other wand makers that are out there. And so people can get cheaper wands. It's just that Ollivander's, that family is, renowned for having the best wands. So I don't know if Ollivander had that secret ambition to make more money with his wands. It seems like almost everyone we know gets their wand from him anyway, and has been for, all the time that his family name has been in business. So I'm not really sure that I guess he's not really attracting new customers. He's just getting more money out of all the customers that he has. I mean, I don't know. He seems like someone who's really faithful to his craft. So I don't think that it's a money grab, but maybe that was like part of the motivation. And I know people bring up that people can't afford wands, like in the case of Ron breaking his wand in the second year and then not getting a replacement until later that summer. So the summer between the second book and the third book, they mention it in the beginning of the third book, the Weasley family wins this galleon draw from the Daily Prophet, and they are able to buy Ron a new wand, and they go on a trip to Egypt and everything. I think what people are interpreting from the books is that Ron couldn't afford to replace the wand that he had when it was broken, which his broken wand was a wand from Charlie's old wand, Charlie Weasley, his older brother, the second of the Weasleys. I don't really think that they necessarily were not replacing his wand because they didn't have the money, because they make a point to mention in the books that he doesn't want to complain that he has a broken wand to his mom because it got broken by them flying the car into the Whomping Willow at Hogwarts, and his mom got really mad at him for that. So I don't know. In my opinion, I don't know if Arthur and Molly know that Ron is using a broken wand for all of his second year. My interpretation was always that he was too scared to tell them, so they just honestly don't know, and that's why they're not replacing it until he comes home for the summer, and then they see that his wand's broken, and they replace it before he goes to school the next year, because he's not allowed to do magic at home during the summer anyway. So that was always my interpretation, not that he couldn't afford it. I mean, maybe it was, wands are expensive, and it's probably tight on them to buy another one, which is why he was using Charlie's hand-me-down wand. But I don't think I always interpreted it that they weren't like making him not have a new wand for that year on purpose. And then another theory that came from that podcast, and I've seen other places, is that, is Ollivander sourcing his wand materials from the black market or sketchy sources? Where is he getting these materials? So there's definitely some evidence maybe to him getting these things from the black market. I mean, dragon heartstring core, you would assume that you need to kill a dragon to obtain that. Like, a phoenix can live on, a unicorn sheds their hair all the time. Those things are easy to obtain without hurting the animal, or maybe not easy to obtain, but you can obtain them without hurting the animal. Whereas a dragon heartstring, and with dragons being nearly extinct in England, I mean, you're not really running into a bunch of dead dragons, it doesn't seem. So how is he getting these materials? There's some theories that Charlie Weasley and Hagrid are both involved in the sourcing of the materials that Ollivander uses. So Charlie Weasley works with dragons in Romania. He would have access to dragon heartstrings, potentially dragons that die of natural causes, could be then, the heartstrings should then be donated, I guess, or sold to Ollivander. Like maybe Charlie has this side business where he's selling dragon heartstrings. I don't know. I mean, I was thinking the fact that, so Charlie Weasley passed down his wand to Ron, which begs the question, okay, well, what does he use for a wand then if he no longer has his original wand? And maybe Ollivander paid him by making him a new wand, and then he didn't need his original wand, and he, passed that down to Ron to start school. So maybe Ollivander's paying him in favors or gold or something to have access to these dragon heartstrings, because I don't know where else he would be getting them. And then as far as Hagrid goes, Hagrid has access to definitely unicorn hairs. In the sixth book, there's a part where Harry takes the Felix Felicis and he runs into Horace Slughorn, and it ends up that Horace Slughorn, him and Hagrid do this burial for Aragog and then go back to Hagrid's hut, and they drink and they're just hanging out, chatting and talking. And when they go to Hagrid's hut, Horace Slughorn notices that he just has a bunch of unicorn hairs strung around. And Hagrid explains that he uses it for binding things when he's helping, different magical creatures. And Horace Slughorn is so surprised and talking about how how expensive, like how much you could sell the unicorn hairs for. And Hagrid was very nonchalant and didn't seem to recognize that they were worth a lot. So I don't know. You could say that maybe Hagrid is selling those unicorn hairs to Ollivander, and he does actually realize how much they're worth, or maybe he isn't and really genuinely like doesn't know, or maybe he's giving them away to Ollivander. I don't know. I mean, is Ollivander going to the Forbidden Forest and trying to get unicorns or going somewhere else to try to get unicorn hairs? And then it seems like it'd be really difficult to pluck unicorn hairs. And then Hagrid could be supplying phoenix feathers. Obviously, there's Fawkes the Phoenix that Dumbledore has, but we know that Fawkes only gave 2 feathers. So I think that the theory, like from the Harry Potter theory, is that there's other phoenixes that he has access to, but I'm like they never talk about phoenix are phoenix birds are so rare that's the most rare of the 3 wand cores. So I guess maybe Ollivander doesn't have to source that as frequently, but yeah, maybe Hagrid's involved. I mean, there's got to be other people that are like dragon wranglers or other people that work with magical beasts. Let's say you could say Newt Scamander. Maybe Ollivander has some sort of relationship with Newt Scamander where he's, collecting some of these rare sources, these rare magical materials for him. So I don't know. I'm interested to see your thoughts, and maybe we'll see how if the new Harry Potter show gives him more of a backstory on where he's getting these materials. But comment and say where you think Ollivander is getting all of these rare materials from. Next, let's get into fan casting. So first, let's talk about the original movies. The Garrick Ollivander that we know and love from the movies was played by John Hurt. John Hurt was born in 1940. So I believe John Hurt was in his early 60s when he was playing Ollivander, just for age reference. John Hurt's known for 1984, Alien, The Elephant Man, and Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. Those are a few other things that he's acted in other than Harry Potter. And then, like I said before, he was in 3 of the Harry Potter movies: Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, and Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1 and Part 2. In the new Harry Potter show that Max is creating, or HBO Max, HBO, whatever they're calling it now, that Ollivander will be played by an actor named Anton Lesser. Anton Lesser is known for Game of Thrones, The Crown, Andor, and Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides. So you may have seen him in those things, and we'll see him in the new Harry Potter. Maybe they'll include him in the 4th book part with the weighing of the wands. The description from the books of Ollivander is that he's an old man who's soft-spoken. There's a lot of emphasis on his eyes being wide or large, pale eyes shining like moons. They're called silvery eyes that are a bit creepy, also called like misty eyes. And he doesn't seem to need to blink much. And his appearance obviously changes a lot after his 2-year imprisonment. So then he looked very emaciated with yellow skin and facial bones sticking out, skeleton-like hands, and sunken eyes. So, looked the same, but just obviously had the look of someone who's been in prison for years. So as far as fan casting, my fan casting for Ollivander, I think you could have a woman in this role, and you could have Octavia Spencer. She has very, very big eyes that stand out to me a lot. So even though she doesn't fit some of the other aspects of the role, I think she could. I mean, she's obviously an amazing actress. She could play this role. They might have to age her up a little bit, because she's 55 now. But they could do, hair and makeup to make her look older. But if you are not familiar with Octavia Spencer by name, she's known for Hidden Figures. She was in The Help and Thunder Force and many other shows and movies. So I think she could definitely play this role of Ollivander if you switch up the gender. Another actor that came to mind for me is Hugh Grant. He is 65 now, so he would be even older than when John Hurt originally played the role for the original Ollivander. And a benefit is Hugh Grant is British, and he's known for Love Actually, Notting Hill, About a Boy, and recently he was in Heretic. So I think Hugh Grant could play the role. I think he is someone who kind of plays a lot of his roles, I think he plays the line between being like a good guy, but not totally good, or maybe has some like toes the line between being good and being evil. And I think Ollivander is one of those people he's very neutral. Like he is friendly with Dumbledore. He makes a lot of wands for the good guys, but he also makes a lot of wands for the bad guys. He says specifically that he made Voldemort's wand. And he talks about Voldemort having such great power. He amends that it's terrible, but it's also great. And I think he's one of those people that's like just fascinated and interested in wand lore and power and magical abilities, almost to make him just neutral. It's like he's a neutral like watcher of what's happening in the world. And I don't think he's so much like playing into one side or another until he gets captured and tortured, and then he kind of reveals pertinent information. But that's under duress. It doesn't seem like he was particularly supportive of one side or the other before that. But yeah, that pretty much wraps up Ollivander, Garrick Ollivander, the Mr. Ollivander that we know and love from the Harry Potter books and movies. So thanks for joining me on this magical journey throughout the wizarding world of Harry Potter. Don't forget to rate and subscribe to the podcast wherever you are listening. And until next week, happy reading, happy listening, and may you never be attacked by a dragon.